What is going on, guys? It is Ahmed, and I am back today with yet another video for you all. And today we're going to talk about Zomedica earnings that is coming up on the 10th of May. So this has been long anticipated and definitely overdue for all of us who have been holding since the beginning of the year. Since I initially talked about the stock back in January, it seems like that's all I talk about on this channel now. So I know a lot of people call me the Zomedica guy, but again, my channel is not for financial advice. Rather, I try to put you guys on the plays that I am in. So in anticipation for earnings come May 10th, for me, I'm not really expecting much, right? We know that EPS, or earnings per share, from the same time last year was about negative 0.02. So negative 2 cents per share was their estimated price per share. Now, if we look at the price action lately, we know that currently Zomedica is sitting at 87 cents a share. If we go back a year, it was actually 20 cents a share. So since then, it's up about 335%, give or take a couple percents here and there. But regardless, we have seen pretty poor price action with Zomedica the last 5 days, down about 20%. We saw it bounce off its bottom at 76 cents a share, and that's kind of what I want to address and talk about today specifically. But before I do that, I will also bring my price prediction come May 10th, next Monday. And again, this is probably going to happen in the after hours when they release their earnings, because that's typical of any company. They don't like doing it when the market is open, because obviously that's going to create more volatility and issues. But regardless, I do want to quickly give a quick shout out to the Webull affiliate that I have down below. So if you do click the link below, you get 2 free stocks. The first free stock is worth $2.50 to $250 for just opening up a brokerage account with Webull. And then next, you get an additional stock between $8 and $1,600 when you deposit $100. Now, full transparency, anyone who deposits $100 into their account, I also do get a free stock as well. So it's kind of, very symbiotic relationship, if you will. But regardless, the reason that I preach about Webull so much is that it gives you access to the pre-market from 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time all the way to the aftermarket trading, which is till 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, we know earnings, and typically when things are announced for any company, right? Look at Tesla earnings, look at Apple earnings, just look back in the last few weeks, the earnings that I've been talking about on the channel and off the channel on the Discord. We've been mentioning that oftentimes they're disclosed and announced at 4:30, 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And what do we see? If any company exceeds expectations when it comes to earnings reports, we know what happens. The stock, there's a huge buying pressure, and a lot of people buy into the stock in the after hours. So people who are using brokerages like Robinhood or others that don't necessarily allow you to trade in the pre-market, you don't get access to that, or in the post-market, of course, and then you end up missing out on a rally if there is one. Not for Zomedica. The reason I want to mention what I want to mention today is if we look at the earnings per share, or the EPS, from the previous few quarters, if we look at Q1 2021, they were actually negative 5.31 million, right? But they're trending in the right direction. Come Q2 2020, when they announced this back in November, we saw they actually were at negative $4.98 million for earnings. So obviously, for any company in the pharmaceutical industry, generally speaking, if they don't have a product that is commercialized, they're going to be losing money, right? Because you have to talk about things like payroll, R&D, the research and development, all the different, pretty much the entire cash flow that's coming in is directly being used to fund and finance their entire operation, right? But we know what happened Q1 2021 for Zomedica. TruePharma officially launched, and that was March 15th. So why am I not anticipating or expecting much come earnings next Monday? Because if you do the math, how long was TruePharma actually commercialized before the end of the first quarter? If I said it, we all got the news that on March 15th, right? I made a video that same night saying, hey, it looks like it is commercialized. TruePharma has officially been launched. They sold their first unit to a vet office in New York, and it was, again, approximately $12,000 per unit. But from that day, on the 15th of March, till the end of March, because quarter one officially, according to the fiscal calendar, it ends the 31st of March, 2021, right, for this year. And we know that's just how it works. So between the 15th of March and the 31st, how many units do you think Zomedica actually ended up selling? if any at all, right? In addition to the one. I'd be very impressed if they would have sold, anywhere between 10 to 20 units. So we're looking at $120 to $240,000 in additional earnings and revenue. But I'm not expecting much, especially with the news that they dropped on us when it came to them changing their sales force, right? So they went from a distributor-based sales approach, working through Miller Vet, to now doing direct sales from their own company. They hired on someone from the IDEX team. You guys know the spiel. I kind of talked about it in detail in the past. But regardless, if you look back and see what I'm really anticipating for the stock is that their EPS is going to be better than previous quarters. That's going to be, I'm 100% sure of that. But again, not financial advice. But if you want to play earnings properly, in my opinion, I think it's just going based off the technicals, not necessarily in anticipation of, exceeding expectations when it comes to earnings time. Now, come end of Q2 2021 and they start reporting earnings, sometime in the fall, I think we're going to see significant increases, and I'd be very impressed if they could break even instead of being in the negative. So again, for a pharmaceutical company, especially any pharmaceutical company that's part of the S&P pharmaceutical index, we know that generally speaking, anytime they break even, that's when we start to see them rally, quarter after quarter, because again, it's kind of like the snowball effect, if you will. So do understand that when it comes to Zomedica, right now I'm not anticipating too much, but if we look at the technicals, we know that there's support lines at 75 cents a share, and then after that, there's really not much support at all till it bottoms out. So for me, what am I doing if I see a sell-off after the earnings are reported? Right now, I know two things, right? It's trading below its 50-day estimated moving average of $1.29, right? It's at 87 cents a share. Very obvious there. And then next, we know that there's a general strong support at 75 cents a share. And if we look back just at the 1 month, you saw on April 20th, it dipped down to that and it bounced off of that with a 44% gain over the next 6 days after it bottomed out at 76 cents. Now, if Zomedica approaches 75 cents a share or even 76 cents, I'll probably put a limit buy order in so I can get in on more shares. As you guys know, I'm pretty transparent about the shares that I do own. So currently I'm still sitting at around 1,200 shares of Zomedica, with a cost average, I think it's at around, I'm not even sure, $1.10. So if I could bring my dollar cost average down by, buying when it gets lower to where my current cost basis is at, then that's of course a positive, right? So for anyone who has been, especially for those of you who got in at $2.60 at a much higher price point, look to potentially average down, right? Because that's what we do in companies we believe in. If you don't believe in the company, what are you going to do when earnings reports are released and they don't exceed the expectations of Wall Street? Guess what? You're going to sell for a loss, which is again mainly just panic selling, thinking, hey, this thing might bottom out again, go back to 20 cents a share. But for those of us who truly believe in their diagnostic platform and the potential for them to expand their product, come through that come Q2, Q3, 2021, and even going into next year, because again, the current diagnostic platform, the true format, the things that it allows are thyroid and adrenal diagnostics. That's just the beginning for this company. We know that they're looking at cancer diagnostics, right? Point of care cancer testing, any type of oncological testing, that is definitely next level and again, very futuristic. So if they are able to get it under patent and hopefully integrate it within their true format platform, this company is going to look like it was pretty much free in 2021. So that's why I'm someone that's buying and holding for the long term. I'm not looking to sell for the next couple years, if not even longer, unless we see a ridiculous rally or a short squeeze. Those are the only two things that will make me sell. So for short squeezes, anything like GameStop, just because of the short interest that I mentioned in previous video, and currently the short volume is pretty ridiculous. I think it's somewhere 30 to 40% of current shares being traded on a day-to-day basis are held by short sellers. Those are individuals that are betting against the stock. So what does that mean? If people end up buying and holding, potentially this thing could squeeze to, again, what people are saying, $3, $4, $5, $6 in the short interim. So again, for me, I am just looking to buy the dip when it does dip, if it does dip. But again, if it exceeds expectations, my expectations, again, between 5 to 10 true forma units in the 2-week period that they commercialized. But hey, if somehow they sold 100, 200 units, then you know what's going to happen. This thing will definitely bounce right back. So we'll see what happens. We'll play it by ear. I'll keep you guys updated as much as possible. Of course, come earnings day, I'll try to report as soon as I can. I'm sure that the earnings are going to be out before I get off of work. But regardless, I'm going to give you guys an update as soon as I can. Join the Discord down below if you don't want that time-sensitive information, because I'll tell you guys, hey, I am going to be putting a buy limit order, or hey, I'm not going to because of whatever reason. So thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. And until next time, keep investing.